Are there sales practices and trends from 2024 that are not going to cut it in 2025? Absolutely. And I'm going to tell you some of them. Well, maybe not me per se, but my guest. And you're going to love it. I promise you. Check it out. Hey, everyone. Welcome to another great episode of the Sales Evangelist Podcast. I'm your host, Donald C. Kelly, the Sales Evangelist. And I'm so excited for another great episode. I'm so excited to be here with you today. On this episode, I have a fantastic guest. His name is Mr. Josh Garrison. He's a VP over at Apollo. And you all know I'm a big fan of Apollo.io. It's a sales enablement tool it's really powerful. Not only helps you to be able to find information about your prospects, make lists, get your email addresses, but it also an opportunity to do call listening to help you coach your sales reps and to improve your sales game, as well as amazing tools, which features, which I may or may not have pulled one or two of them out of Josh today. But our conversation isn't necessarily about Apollo. It's about some of the things that you should be abandoning. And Apollo is great because they have tons of data based on your performance and my performance. And they have some insights. If this is your first time listening to our podcast, please know it's designed to do two things. One, help you to improve your sales game, get more deals at the top of the funnel. And two, help you to accelerate deals through the pipeline and close more. Today's episode is going to fall underneath how we can help you to be able to get more deals in that pipeline and also to accelerate. We're going to cover kind of both of those categories. Today, specifically, we're going to talk about some of the things that's happening with AI. And many of us are looking for the easy button with AI, but Josh has some interesting philosophies on that, and I tend to agree with him. You're going to like it. Number two, we're going to go into how can we make sure that we're diversifying our outreach. And I know you've heard about it, but we don't do what we know know what we should do. And Josh gives us an idea of how we can be better at diversifying our sales outreach. And then finally, we're going to talk about an interesting phenomenon, commenting, and essentially social listening. So I want you, as we go into this and we tackle these 3 points, listen for how you can do them. And you'll get an actionable tip that you can use when it comes to social listening that you can apply today that makes such a big difference when it comes to commenting on LinkedIn. I didn't much think about this stuff. Listen, I'm so pumped for it. And by the way, Josh is a quoter. He's very quotable, I guess I should say. We need to make up an award that we give because he said some amazing one-liners that and some quotes that you're going to resonate with. Listen to them. Let's jump in. Josh, welcome to the show, man.
Hey, thanks so much for having me on. I've been really looking forward to it.
Bro, I've been over here just like waiting for a month since we last spoke. I enjoyed Christmas and New Year's in between there too. So
yeah, so did I. But most every day I woke up, I was like, I can't wait to talk to Don. I can't wait to do it.
You heard that, guys. So this is why you need to share the episode with your friends.
Yeah, exactly.
I bragged about you a little bit and some of the things you're doing and what Apollo is doing in the game, and really appreciate it. We're big fans and recommend it a lot. I want to go dive straight into the good stuff because there are things that you all have discovered, and especially you yourself, what sellers are doing and what worked last year. Unfortunately, at times, the way this game is, it feels like something that I did 30 minutes ago, it's not working now anymore in sales. So I want to explore that with you. What are some things that we need to abandon that you all are seeing from 2024 in order to be really successful in 2025?
Yeah, I mean, it's top of mind for everybody, given the time of year it is. I'd say probably 3 things that I anchor toward. The first one is going to be incorporating AI in a way that makes sense, having it do things that are going to level up your outreach, but not necessarily having it do everything for you, working with technology in a smart way. Yeah. Very similar to how, we went from one-off emails sent via Salesforce, via Gmail to sequencing tools, back in mid 2010s.
Yeah.
Technology's evolved now, and we got to incorporate that into the workflow. The second thing is actually getting out of email as your primary channel, diversifying your outreach, and making sure that you're hitting people where they are. And that's going to be, across multiple different places. And then the third thing that I would say is leveraging social in the right way, leaving comments and showing up in the conversation that's happening that your buyers and prospective buyers are having. If you're not there, I think there's a misperception. You don't have to be an influencer to be influential. So making sure people are using social in the right way.
I think that's probably the quote of the day right there, the click to tweet. You don't have to be an influencer to be to be influential.
Absolutely.
So let's go into the first one though. AI. What are some things that we started doing with AI in 2024 that will not work now? That makes that you when it goes over this idea of being sensible with AI.
Yeah, I think so. Personally, I wouldn't anchor towards, or I wouldn't gravitate towards where I think the industry is going, or what you're seeing. You walk around San Francisco right now, and there's billboards on every other block for you don't need salespeople. The AI SDR that
Yeah.
can do it all for you. I don't. I don't think that that's right for most people. I think that became popular last year. You see a lot of companies crop up AI SDR, and they're going to go and do all this work for you. And the word that I've been hearing from people is that um, they 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 sign people up on a lot of hype, and then the results aren't there, and people churn out. I think the reality is sales has always been about solving problems for people and building connections with other people. So the more you try and get away from that by outsourcing that to AI, or outsourcing it to anybody, like the harder that's going to be. That's going to make your jobs going to be for you. So that like full reliance on AI, kind of treating it almost like a magic toolbox, that's what landed in 2024. And I think the prudent decision would be not to go there in 2025. But you can't ignore it. AI is here. It is powerful. It can do things. The more you learn about it now, the better you're going to be 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years from now. And I think about myself. I was an early adopter of outreach and early adopter of tools like Apollo, and that expertise has carried me, for the last 10 years. I feel like we're at that moment with AI today. So, what can AI do that is good? Well, in the last like 6, 7, 8 months, AI doesn't matter who you're. We talk about AI. What we're really talking about is GPTs and similar products. Every big player has them. You've got Anthropic, you've got OpenAI, you've got Google with their Gemini. What they've gotten good at is research. They're actually really good
Yes.
at research. They're really good at summarization, and that is a important task that takes a lot of time if you're in sales. It can take a lot of time. So today more than ever, every email that you send is critical because deliverability has gotten harder, harsher, more rules in place. There's a currency. It's almost like every email you send costs you money.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to agree with that. I feel like there is, even if it's you can't necessarily put an exact dollar on it, but it is costing. And I feel, for instance, I'll give you this example: burning the domain is
Yes.
one thing. You guys are probably big on that. You're aware of this. Like if I go out and send the 500 emails in a day or a couple hundred in a day, I'm burning the domain. That's costing me money. And then also I think it's costing in other ways because the appearance, depending how big your sales team is, but your brand could easily become to me as a nuisance, depending if you're sending me emails that are not relevant and also in a way that it feels spammy. So there is this the brand identity that I will put towards this, and there's a cost to that. I feel as well, and then there's the time as a rep where I don't want my rep to feel that the emails aren't working. And they end up wasting their time doing other stuff. Like I want them to use email that's going to help them to get quick wins or get wins of some sort. So, so as soon as you said that, just a bunch of these things started churning my mind.
Yeah, I mean, I think you said it, right? Like, and for a long time, for a lot of people, it's been how can I use technology to send more emails? That's been their game, right? They have this like sales as a numbers game. And I got to borrow a quote that I loved from Colin Stewart at Predictable Revenue. He's like, sales is
Yeah.
not a numbers game, it's a math game. And the better you are at getting your emails open and replied to, like the better the bottom of your funnel is going to be. So when we talk about AI in 2025, what should you be doing? Using AI to make every single email relevant, actionable, unique, personable, like that, we're going beyond a dynamic variable for your first name and the name of the company you work for, right? We're talking about what are you actually caring about? Like, what is your company caring about? So that would be my first thing. And I know I went on a couple mini monologues, so I want to like pause and make sure I didn't trip myself up there.
Well, I mean, I think you're winning this year so far with the most clickable quotes for an episode. So, congrats on that, guys.
Oh,
Make
thanks.
sure we get the award sent out. But this, no, this was great. The other part that I like towards this was on the the research, and I feel that that's where many that's where I've seen the benefit of chat. For instance, I've upgraded to the pro, and there's so many ways, use cases that I've used it for in our personal. Bro, I just as a sidebar, but I saw anyone follow her, Miss Dow Jones. She's on Insta, but she's the millennial finance person, and my wife and I follow her. So she posted something about creating your menu from using chat, and we're like, what? So we put our dollar figure in it that we want to spend on groceries per month, per week. And then we go ahead, we put the menu items that we want. Like if there are food restrictions, it created everything, put the dollar figure, and I used it this weekend. I spent a longer time in the store, but it was underneath the money that we typically spend in our budget. And I'm like, what the heck? And I felt like I had more food from it. So chat is able to really, it can do some of these things that it would have taken me half a day to do in that process. And I think that's where it comes back for us as sellers. And you also said something and I think we can make that a quote even so too, but I feel, and I'm going to rephrase it, but I feel it's impossible. But I mean, I guess nothing is impossible, right? But I think it's really difficult for sellers nowadays to have an excuse why they can't be relevant with every emails they send. Uh, and I think
Totally.
that's where it comes back with AI doing the work for us and helping us to sound more intelligent. Because you're not going to get that person out of it. The order takers, I do believe their jobs are going to be taken with the traditional concept of AI, like it's those just robo BDRs. And I feel that the ones that are problem solvers, as you're saying, they're always going to be around from now until year 3000 when machines are still running things.
For sure. Yeah, there's always a role for a human, right? And there should
Yeah.
be. So, I'd say one last thing before we move on to number two, which would be that you might, if you're hearing this, you might be wondering immediately, like, okay, he's talking about I need to use AI, but how?
Yes.
And I think there's a lot of different ways you can go about this. At Apollo, we've built into the application what we call power ups, where you can actually pull from a bunch of different models and use it. It's basically like in your sales tool, you can say, hey, go research the last 10 LinkedIn posts that this person made or this person's team made and summarize them for me and call that as a variable and pull that into your sequences. So there's a lot of ways you can do it in your sales tool. You could obviously do it in Chat GPT and pull it into a spreadsheet and do whatever. Like there's a lot of different ways, but the advice I'm giving and actually putting my money where my mouth is, what I'm having my team do now is I've had a couple people on my team have said, hey, cancel all of your meetings for the next 2 weeks. Go use this. Like these are marketers, right? And I'm saying like, I want you to go use the tool, use AI and make it as good as you can. And then present it to me and show me what you did. So if you're a sales leader or you're in sales and you've got some downtime and you haven't done that yet, that'd be my recommendation.
So go use the tool, take a break for 2 weeks, make a thing, test out those tools, and see how you can best use it to. I love that strategy. You got me with I didn't realize the power up capability can do that because I'm a big LinkedIn shop when we teach people to use LinkedIn. But that I think that's a game changer. I need to do an episode on the power up. So
Yeah, I mean, the pace of development is so fast, it's hard to keep up
yeah,
with, but it is incredibly powerful what you can do. It's well named. Power Up is, that's a good descriptor.
dope. All right, so diversifying outreach. Let's go to that point.
Yeah.
I think we've people have said this for a while, and we know we should do it. I think for a trend for a while there, for late pandemic era, it was phone is dead, and then post pandemic, we see the phone is well alive because people want to engage with humans, and we see cold outreach is there. But you have some people have their preferences. They're saying email now is dying off, and beg to differ probably from your world as well. But what the diversifying aspect, people have always I've heard people have shared that like, you use different accounts. What can I do different when it comes to diversifying that I may not already know that I haven't been doing in 2024?
Yeah. So I would say, at least from our data, looking at all of the users of Apollo, it might be shocking, but the majority of people still send only emails.
That's
Like the,
crazy.
the majority of people either send only emails or don't, or just send one-off emails. They're not doing
Why?
things in a sequence. I think probably two reasons. One is that they want it to be easy. Like we all want it to be easy, right? And for most people, sending that first cold email, like if you've never done it before, you're a first-time founder, you're a first-time salesperson, you're sending that first email, you're putting yourself out there in such a big way that just sending the first email feels like a lot of work. Let alone being like, you mean I got to do it again in 3 days, right? And then you want me to call them? Like, like most people are just so outside of their comfort zone. That'd be the first thing. I think the second thing then is a question of education and like knowledge of, tech savviness. Like sales typically is not the most tech forward profile of person that you hire. I think that's like kind of rare to get somebody who's like really, tech forward or early adopter. But so what should you stop doing or what should you start doing in 2025 when it comes to diversifying your outreach? I'll make it really simple. One is vary up the times of day that you're reaching out to people. So if you think about it, like if you really wanted to go see, let's say you were into birding. I'll just give a weird example. Let's say you were into birding. You really wanted to go see a blue heron, right? And you went every day at 4:00 to go see the blue heron. You never saw blue heron. What would you do? You'd go at 6 a.m. and at 4:00 and at 8 p.m. You'd start going at different times of day. People are the same where everybody has a different routine. And, me with little kids, the time to reach out to me and the time to reach out to somebody else who doesn't have kids might be different just based on our schedules. So you got to vary that up across all the things that you're doing. So if you call somebody at 4 p.m. one day, the next time you call them at 7 a.m. or 8 a.m. If you email them at 2 p.m., email them the next time at 9 a.m. You got to vary up the time of day. It's going to give you the broadest chance of hitting somebody when they're able to respond. And then the second thing is, making sure that you're going across at least 3 channels. So when we look at the data from Apollo, we see that if you don't send a sequence, if you just do one-off email, only 16% of people who do that book a meeting ever. So right there, if that's what you're doing, that's not going to work. If you just send automated emails only, 46% of people book a meeting. So it's less than half. But if you send an automated email, a personalized manual email, a LinkedIn touch of some kind, and make a phone call, over 70% of people book a meeting. So just based on that, like dumb math, where we're not even talking about the strategy, the copy, like we're just looking at the activity you're doing, the data is incredibly clear. Varying the type of outreach you're doing leads to greater chance of success. So I think the reality is for most people, they're still not doing that. And now's the time to start.
It's kind of like sometimes we like everyone, people know what they should be doing, right? At the beginning of the year, and some folks are probably like, I need to lose weight. Like, bro, you already know what you need to do from last year. You just didn't do what you need to do. And I think in instances like this, you're right. We may know what to do, but it may be the easiness of it that makes us not do it. Like it's easy for us to just send email. It's a little bit more complicated to create a manual email. It's a little bit more annoying to go and go after each of those people on LinkedIn, and to discipline yourself enough to do so. So I think this is some great ideas here when it comes to the diversifying. I think the third point is one that I really, really like. The question, so I'm moving on now, but and it's just my favorite one. So sorry guys, it's my show. It's the commenting component. When you first mentioned that, like we believe in that and we have done it, but we have not done a strategy specifically for commenting. Our LinkedIn focus is capture attention, get engagement, then start conversation, and then you book appointments from that. And we use Apollo to create the sequences and a Navigator to get data. And so, but anyways, the point is I've not heard of commenting as almost like a solo a la carte strategy.
Yeah.
Dígame, talk to me about this.
For sure. So I'd start by saying, I'm standing on the shoulders of giants here. There's a couple of people who've done a lot of work here. Yeah. One of them works for me. Zoe Hartsfeld is a great follow if you ever want to learn more.
Big shout out to Zoe.
Shout out to Zoe. Shout out to Alex Boyd, who talks about this a lot. He's the founder of Aware, which is like a LinkedIn automation tool. And on Apollo Academy, if you just Google Apollo Academy, we have a masterclass with Alex where he talks about his LinkedIn strategy. But this is what I'd say. So, over time, LinkedIn has kind of evolved, depending on your industry. Like this won't work for every industry, but if your industry is on LinkedIn, if you sell to doctors, like that's not going to work for you. But if your industry is on LinkedIn, a lot of the time what people are doing on LinkedIn and also Reddit, and to a lesser extent, I think like what used to be called Twitter,
Yeah.
they're asking for recommendations. It's like a
Yep.
very common type of post where people are like, hey, I'm looking for XYZ, or hey, I'm considering buying Apollo. What is your guys' experience with it? And what ends up happening is people show up in the comments and you get like a mixed bag. You get competitors of whatever tool being like, talk to me, talk to me. But then you get people who are saying, well, I use this product and here's my experience and here's whatever. I think the trend that I'm seeing is that increasingly that's where decisions are made. Tools like G2 or review sites or whatever are like increasingly less important because they're pay to play. But inherently, people asking questions like this on LinkedIn and other platforms is really social first, and like that's what they care about. It's like, what's your experience with these tools? So a lot of the time when we talk about selling on social, everybody thinks like, I got to post, I got to post, I got to post. In reality, you don't have to post. Like you can post if you want to, but other people are posting about topics that you care about, that your industry cares about, that your tool cares about. It's way less important that you post and drive people to you than it is that you show up where people already are. And where people already are is in the comments on those posts. So that's the first question I ask people is like, are you, doing what we call social listening? Are you on LinkedIn searching for threads, posts, and conversations about the topics that you care about or that your seller cares about? If I only had 20 minutes a day to be on social, that's where I'd spend all 20 of those minutes, is I'd be finding the posts that people are asking the questions are relevant about, and then showing up in the comments. And I think the way you show up in the comments is important. It's not about selling. And actually, the less you sell, the more you're going to sell, especially
Right.
on social.
See, I'm telling you guys, give him the award already. Do we need to wait till the end of the year? Just give him the best the quotable award. So one more time on that one.
Yeah,
The
the less you'll go
the
for it. You
less
do it. You do it.
the less you sell, the more you sell.
Yes. Yes. Though I liked how you put the less you sell, the best you sell. That like
I like
that.
that better.
That's nice. That's nice. Yeah. That's we did a series at Apollo where we call it the world's best sellers, where we interviewed some of the best salespeople in the world. Like the person who won President's Club at Palo Alto Networks, at Twilio, and others. And that was a theme that kept coming up over and over again. So in the comments on LinkedIn and Reddit, wherever you are, what we find is that adding value is the name of the game. So yeah, go ahead.
I'm gonna push back here because I like the idea, and you've been tactical, and especially it was a great example after the first point. You're like the how, and you gave some how.
Yeah,
If somebody has this, it's great. If not, make it a power up. But
sure.
social listening is the key. I don't have enough time to go and search and go and find everywhere because some people may be commenting. I have prospects that I'm tracking, but they may not necessarily be the ones asking questions. And I need to find the watering holes, but there are many different watering holes. How do we best find the watering holes where we can add value, so to speak, as the commenters?
Yeah, great question. So there are tools that you can use for this, right?
Yeah.
Like Sprout Social comes to mind. It's relatively pricey, but you could do that.
Mm-hmm.
Hootsuite, I think of like some others in the space. Um, uh, Again, Alex Boyd's tool Aware is one that would let you do this. But also like natively to LinkedIn, if you just search like whatever keyword, right? Like if you're selling, I don't know, if you're selling cloud storage, right? I would search like best cloud storage on LinkedIn and you're going to find some stuff.
Got it.
So yeah, you don't have to be, I think you nailed it. Commenting on LinkedIn is not about like, it's not about showing up on your prospect lists, posts, and commenting necessarily, right? Like, though that is something you may also want to do. Instead, it's about, this is like opportunistic. These are, by definition, the people who are making these posts are in market right now. So the way to make yourself most successful in sales, if you think about, I think we maybe talked about this, is like only 3% of people in your target audience are buying what you're selling at any given time.
Yeah.
And then you've got, 6% who are aware of the solution, but they're not ready to buy. And then everybody else like doesn't care. So the most effective thing that you can do is only sell to that 10% who are aware or actively buying. How do you find those people? Well, if they're posting on social media asking for recommendations, they're probably in that bucket. And if you're like writing an email to Joe Schmo who's not posting on social asking about it, instead of making a comment on that post, you're not using your time well. So that's kind of the way that I would approach it.
I Love it. Oh my goodness. Three amazing, technically four amazing quotes, some really solid points and some ideas here. And you could literally take from this episode the idea of taking, go and searching on LinkedIn those best titles, and you have a prospecting strategy. I'm a fan. I'm a big believer in what you're sharing. And again, why I was so stoked about this, especially the last point here, the less you sell, the more you sell with this podcast, having you on here, it's, some people are going to get some help and going to take it and apply it, and a few people are going to go back and look at Apollo because we talk about you guys, and I'll rave about that, and you guys will get some business. But the what's going to happen, some sales leaders going to listen to this and thought that I did a great job and associate me with some of this expertise, and they're going to hit me up to do consulting or come and do the SKO or come into our program. And that's where I've learned over the years. It's just that you give out information and be a
Yes.
facilitator of that information, a quarterback. And the less you sell, I'm not selling anything on this, but I promise you this episode is going to make you money. And hopefully you as well. So it'll be
That's the
fun.
hope. I hope it makes you a bunch of money. And
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
couldn't agree more. I think one of the reasons we vibe, we have the same philosophy, and that's how I've approached the work we do at Apollo as well.
It's dope. So because I'm a fan of Apollo, we definitely have to do a little soapbox. So if folks want to, any cool things that's going on with Apollo that people should be aware of right now,
Yeah, a
to
lot of
test out.
cool things happening with Apollo. So if you're not familiar, apollo.io is the website. Apollo is an all-in-one end-to-end sales and go-to-market platform. So what I mean by that is, you might think that you need to buy Zoom Info and Outreach and Gong and Chili Piper and all these different tools to have like a best of the best sales process and sales stack. And that was true 5 years ago. And that
Yeah.
is not true anymore. You can start with Apollo for free, and all the functionality I just mentioned, those other tools, is included in Apollo. So what's happening that's cool is that not only is everything in one place, you can do your prospecting and your outreach and your analytics and your call recording and your call coaching, like everything in one tool. But we also provide a ton of education, resources, training for your team as well. It's a big lift for most sales managers, just teaching your team how to use the tool. Apollo does that for you for free. And I would say we're probably on the cutting edge of AI and automation. So, if you're interested in applying some of these cutting edge technologies to your team, or you're a founder, you have a small team, you have to get the most that you can with a small budget, this is the place to be. I mean, really, like I would recommend it. If I was an independent consultant, I would say to everybody, like, before you do anything else, check out Apollo. If that doesn't have what you need, then I'll make other recommendations, but it's where I would start.
Yeah, and wait, guys, you got to click on my affiliate code, so I can.
That's right.
You don't have to do that, but use Apollo. I started off with the free version, and so this is why we joked about it. I was talking to Josh about it. Like I should probably get something from it, right? But I've been telling my clients, and we do consulting, and like we just helped a team spin up a new sales team, and everybody went on Apollo. It was part of the hiring process, so I think probably like 8 or so sales reps got on Apollo people. But I just believe in the tool. We use it internally, and with me and going into my client's account, I think I have like several Apollo accounts right now. But
Well, I appreciate that and appreciate you, man. And
yeah.
again, thank you so much for having me on. It's been a blast.
Well, if folks want to get in touch with you, is that the best thing? Go to Apollo, go to your LinkedIn. Where should they go to connect with you?
Yeah, find me on LinkedIn. I am in Apollo. You guys can find my contact information there. But as you can imagine, my inbox is a disaster hellscape. So, but I am pretty active on LinkedIn. I do my best to try and stay on top of that. So you can find me there or find me, wherever you might see me.
Josh, appreciate you coming on the show, man. Thank you.
Thank you for having me on, Donald. It's been great.
Hey, that was Josh Garrison. I told you this was so good. Even if you don't use Apollo at all, I'm just telling you, take the things that you learned. That commenting idea, y'all know I love LinkedIn, but that strategy alone, come on, it's a game changer. I've talked about it, but not specifically singular like this. And I think you should be able to apply this. And big shout out to those who have bragged about it and shared the tips about this. They shared it with Josh, and he's out there evangelizing about it. But I would love for you to connect with him. Love for you to share this episode. Tell one other team members how they can benefit from it. As always, if the tool Apollo can help you, use it. Take advantage of our sponsors as well. They have some amazing stuff that they're sharing, and links are in the show notes. As always, I want you to thrive. I want you to succeed. This is your year. This is your opportunity, and you can do this. There's amazing opportunities and not many excuses. You just got to show up oftentimes. And I can tell you stories and countless stories on top of stories about just me showing up and just what has happened. And I know you can do this. So don't listen to the naysayers or the negative things going between your ears in your head. Just get out there and make it happen. I want you to thrive. I want you to succeed. I want you to raise the level of thinking. You can take advantage of our sales mastermind if you want to get some weekly motivation and practice. thesalesevangelist.com/mastermind. It's in the show notes. But I want you to thrive. And I want you to succeed. I want you to raise your level of thinking and go out and do big things. Ooh, this is so good. I'll see you on the next one.